the Weather Xtreme video. This is for Wednesday evening, the 9th of December. I'm James Spann. Things are quiet today. The focus is on the potential for severe weather at the end of the upcoming weekend. As we are today, we've got a short wave passing through today. The air's pretty dry and is expected not much happening on radar. How about nothing happening on radar? That was at 2:29. You can see a batch of clouds with that wave over the northern part of the state, but so far underneath those clouds, we've had no reports of rain. There might be a sprinkle somewhere there in the next hour or so, but most locations obviously will stay dry. Underneath those clouds, temperatures are in the 50s. It's only 56 for Cullman, 55 for Haleyville, 60s down to the south. Birmingham at 65. Again, we'll see some very mild afternoons in coming days. We'll expect highs up in the low to mid-70s by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's a watch warning map. Things very quiet for the eastern half of the nation. Windy and wet in the northwest. A lot of high wind advisories and flash flood watches and warnings. Winter weather advisories. A few winter storm warnings for the mountains there. Of course, our attention will be on convection. These are the convective outlooks. This is for day 4, which is Saturday. A risk of severe weather over eastern Texas, parts of Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas. Some of the cities involved there would be Shreveport, Dallas, Houston, Fort Smith. And then on day 5, which is Sunday and Sunday night, and again, keep in mind this runs through Monday morning at 6 o'clock, basically all of Alabama involved in a severe weather risk. And, of course, at this phase of the game, that's all you're going to get. But certainly that raises our attention anytime you see us in a day 5 outlook. And we'll take a look at that as we go through the dailies in just a second. This is the rain for the next 5 days, valid through next 7 days, valid through Wednesday morning of next week. The bullseye north of Texarkana, 5 inches. Amounts in our state vary from 2 inches around the Shoals down to under a quarter of an inch around Dothan. All right, here we go. This is the GFS, the 12Z run, valid tomorrow at noon. The wave that came through today is on by. We have a zonal flow. We'll call it partly sunny tomorrow. We start the day in the upper 40s, the high in the upper 60s, about 10 degrees above average. Friday, we'll see some clouds around Friday, but the sun should break through at times, and the high pretty close to 70 Friday afternoon. And I guess there might be a shower somewhere over far in North Alabama, but the chance is relatively small, and we're going to leave it out of the forecast for now. Saturday, as the weekend begins, we're going to be flirting with record warmth. The GFS is printing a high of 75. The record high Saturday is 78, set back in 1971. Rain breaks out to the west, and then this is Sunday. This is where things get active. You can see that digging trough into Texas. A deep surface low cranks up over Harrison, Arkansas, 999 millibars, with storms extending down through Louisiana and Arkansas. And again, this is Sunday at noon. By Sunday night at midnight, the surface low moves northeast on the Illinois-Indiana border, with the storms moving into Alabama. All right, let's take a look at storm environment. First off, the dew points. Now, this is valid at 6 o'clock Sunday evening. You can see dew points are surging up into the middle 60s up in through here. Birmingham's dew point 64. That always raises a red flag in the cool season when dew points are that high. But the instability values are still pretty low. This is the surface-based CAPE, and we all know it doesn't take a lot of this for severe weather this time of the year. But these values could be a little underestimated, but this is suggesting instability values under 300 joules with this feature. But boy, the winds are screaming. This is the low-level jet. And again, this is Sunday evening at 6 o'clock, and the winds easily exceed 50 knots. In fact, exceeding 60 knots in spots. And again, some of that will likely translate down to the surface with a stronger storm. So clearly, one of the core threats will be from strong straight-line winds. And this is the storm relative helicity. And there is a good bit in advance of the surface front. And that could mean a few small spin-up tornadoes along the front. But it should be a squall line with the possibility of damaging straight-line winds and maybe a few isolated small tornadoes. We'll take a look at the analogs. What this does, this looks back at the top 15 analogs, the top 15 events under these same synoptic conditions. And goodness, that's pretty impressive. This is the 96-hour look valid Sunday evening, and you can see a number of tornadoes. And understand, this is a combination of 15 events. This is just not one event. But still, this is suggesting we could have the risk of damaging straight-line winds and a few tornadoes. And this is the analog look, and again, the top 15 analogs valid early Monday morning. And this is basically overnight Sunday night. So clearly there's a risk of severe weather Sunday night, and I'd say the main window maybe about 6 o'clock Sunday evening until 3 or 4 o'clock Monday morning. And with each day, we'll be able to refine and fine-tune that, but clearly we have not had severe weather in a long time, so just kind of be sure your weather radio is working. And if you're watching these videos, you're in on this, but just tell your friends and neighbors. Monday at midday, everything's kind of out of here. Deep surface low is north of Detroit. The high Monday would drop into the 50s with rain ending during the morning, and this is Tuesday. That would be a dry day. We start the day in the upper 30s. The high would be in the low 60s. Look at the deep surface low over Nebraska. That looks almost like a blizzard for parts of the Dakotas and Montana. And this is a week from today, Wednesday, the 16th of December. Big trough to the west. The surface low moves up to Minnesota. The trailing front, not very active. This first system just kind of takes the moisture, so there's not much to work with. And the next day, on Thursday, the 17th, a batch of showers passes through, but again, not a big rain event and no severe weather with that. This is the end of the forecast period, Saturday, December 19th. It's a very deep trough in the western states, and it's going to get pretty chilly out there. And down below that, the west is pretty cold. Here we have moist air. That's suggesting a chance of showers as that weekend begins. We'll check temperatures off the ensembles for the next 15 days. You can see those numbers ramping up towards 70 this weekend and cooling down a little bit next week, upper 50s and low 60s, and a fairly sharp drop on Christmas Eve with the high dropping to 52. No sign of any brutally cold Arctic air. And here's a look at the CFS temperature anomalies. This is for December 21st through December 26th. Basically the period right there at Christmas. And again, the east is relatively mild. The west is relatively cold. If this happens to verify, and the consistency in the ID has been good. That's it for the Weather Xtreme video today. We'll have notes in the blog. The next video here by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. If you can't catch us this evening on the live stream or the television side, ABC 3340 News at 4, 5, and 6, and 10 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless.